Yo, yo, yo. What's up, guys? Hope you guys are all doing well. Happy Wednesday. Bitcoin at all-time high closing prices. Amazing. Guys, just remember, guys, I'm going to say this a lot as we keep continuing towards all-time high prices, is that there's nothing bearish about closing at all-time highs. Guys, we need to remember this. Yesterday's daily close was the highest daily close in Bitcoin's history, if I'm not mistaken. That was the previous one. We broke that on Sunday, and then that was the highest weekly close in history. And then yesterday, the highest daily close in history. Guys, absolutely nothing bearish about it. I'm pretty sure we are going to break all-time highs. We are 2% away. Okay, so this top to the top is just under 2% away. So guys, remember, nothing bearish about the highest daily close in history. Just remember that, guys. A lot of people will start to get bearish. A lot of people will say short, short, short. And just remember, guys, the same people were shorting this. Remember, they were all shorting this and they got wrecked. So it's probably going to happen again. So just remember, guys, there's nothing bearish about being at all-time highs. Even though it's high, you can look at a short, for example's sake. Yes, there is a good risk to reward. I spoke about this the other day. Yes, there's a good risk to reward. And a lot of people will draw out things like this to say, yeah, we're going back down to 70-odd K. This is the risk reward. Yes, but it's not going to happen. Okay, very unlikely to happen. If you do want to start opening shorts, then you're going to want to wait for a confirmation and a breakout of this over here. So if you start to get underneath that 100K region, then you can start looking for shorts, but definitely not close to all-time high prices, guys. Remember, we have been bullish on Bitcoin in the zone over here. Obviously, extreme fear, bullish divergence on the daily time frame. We broke out, grinded, and as soon as we got above these EMAs, it was time to go. And I did think we would, have a little bit more of a pullback. But remember, when no one gets the move, then there are no pullbacks. If everyone misses the long, it does not come back for people to get into the long. And I believe that everyone missed the long. Okay. So I did take a long from about 80-odd K, 81K. I did take profits at the 103K region. I think that was a great trade. There was a good chance that we're going to come back, but it looks like we are just going to keep moving, guys. And remember that when Bitcoin does top wherever it does top, you're just going to extend your Fibonacci like that. Let's say if it tops up here, and then we can be buying this zone over here. And I think this is a very, very fair place for a target, this 128K, because we're most likely going to come and test these old tops at some point, and that could be either the 50% level or the 382. So that's my take on Bitcoin, guys. Obviously super bullish, expecting continuation to the upside here. Solana looking really good, and in my opinion, it's starting to consolidate for a push up. Okay, so this is exactly what you want to see, guys. Nice big breakout, reclaimed the EMAs, and now we're holding this as support, guys. So you can see that we're holding that as support. So this is exactly where you just want to start building some Solana longs, and your Solana longs could look something like this. Stop below this one over here, and then targeting whichever price you believe. I do believe personally that the $180 to $200 region, this region over here, is massive, massive, massive resistance. And I think Solana might struggle to get through this, guys. We might chop around it for a while. But if we do get above, then I am expecting Solana to absolutely smash through these levels very quick. I don't think this is big resistance at all. So I think as soon as you get above $200, I think it's going to absolutely rip to the upside. And remember, guys, we spoke about this. We deviated the range low with bullish divergence, and this was the long call over here. Bullish. Okay, let's speak about Ethereum. Now, Ethereum looks very similar because it has now, of course, reclaimed the 200-day EMA and tested it as support over here. So you can see this is a beautiful retest of support over there. And this is what we wanted to see. We said if we start to see wicks that get bought up from, we see price come down and get bought up immediately on that day, that is what we call bullish absorption. So the bulls are absorbing Ethereum at these levels, most likely going to push prices higher. But again, you can patiently wait for Ethereum to get above the $2,750 region. If you are a conservative trader, then 2,750 is where you want to see Ethereum get above. Why? Well, it's the 50% level, okay? The 50% level from the highest to the lows. Remember that when we are in the upper half of the 50% level, we are in the stronger half. And if we're in the bottom half of the 50% level, we are in the weaker half. So we're still technically in the weaker half. Despite having good trading opportunities, we're still in the weaker half. So Ethereum really has to push through here and consolidate above 2,750 before we can get giga long on Ethereum, of course, guys. XRP, okay, good trading opportunity here if you are XRP bull. Of course, breakout of the downsloping resistance over there, and you can see that we've been grinding this trend line over here, the zone over here. Classic retest, touch the 50-day EMA. You know, so if you are looking for longs, this is looking quite good. Stops just below there or below the 200-day EMA if you are very conservative. And who knows how high XRP will go. I do think this is a good trading opportunity. And I think if you are looking for a scalp or a little bit more leverage over here, you can take a riskier trade, of course, and put your stop loss underneath the 50-day EMA. Because if we start to close underneath the 50-day EMA, then you know we can expect that we are going to come down to the 200-day EMA. Bitcoin dominance is almost at our target. So we said that we will most likely see a retest of this trend line. So we obviously broke down. Three big selling days in a row. This often marks a top signal, this price action over here. 3 big days in a row. Going to mark that red. And what you are likely to see now is obviously, you know, a lot of people got into late altcoin longs. They're all going to get wrecked. And then we're most likely going to come and test the zone over here. This is a huge zone over here at the top of this wick high over there. And you got these candles over here, which are most likely going to act as resistance. So this is a zone where, you know, this is where if you are a believer in the crypto cycle and if you are a believer in that Bitcoin dominance has to bottom for a crypto cycle to end, this is exactly where you want to be rotating your Bitcoin into altcoins. If you are a believer in the cycle, if you're not a believer in the cycle and you're actually a Bitcoin maxi, then you know you're going to be smiling at this. But just remember, guys, that Bitcoin dominance always bottoms when the cycle ends. Okay, so this was the end of a cycle over here. This was the end of a cycle over here. This period over here, I do believe. Yeah, this was the end of the cycle over here. And you know what we most likely is going to happen is for Bitcoin dominance to come to the bottom of its range again for the cycle to be done. So I've got 2 targets, guys. I've got 2 targets. I've spoken about this for, I think, for the whole of last year. That the target is going to be the 50% level. Okay, and we can shift this 50% level up because we have taken out those levels over there. So this gives us our targets over here. So our first target is going to be between 53 and 51.5%. Okay, this is target 1 for Bitcoin dominance. So this is the bearish case for altcoins. This means that altcoins aren't going to pump that much, but they're still going to pump, guys. And remember that a move like this is enormous gains for the altcoin market. If Bitcoin dominance comes down 20% and 20% of that market cap goes into altcoins at their lower market cap, they do tend to rally, okay? And the bullish case scenario for altcoins is a move down to 42%, okay? I personally do not think we will break that. If we do, it'll be insane, of course, but this just makes sense from a technical analysis point of view that we are going to, you know, come down and test this. And, you know, are we going to be building some like massive triangle over here and then eventually breaking out? Maybe we do. That's for another time, I suppose. But guys, first target 52%, mark this off on your charts. Second target 42%, and I've got my timeline. So I've got October. This is Q4. This is Q4 of 2025 or Q1 of 2026. This is where I think we are going to be topping. The crypto cycle will be topping, and we'll most likely be finding the bottom for the crypto dominance. I mean Bitcoin dominance. So this zone or this zone over here, guys. So mark this off on your charts. If we hit this level before, Q4, then this is most likely the target. Okay, but if we only hit this in Q4, then this is a good place to be swapping out your altcoins back into Bitcoin. And we can just measure how many days it took, there to there, 1,500, there to there, about 1,500 as well. Okay, so it all kind of adds up there. And if you want to be conservative, you could put this over there, and then our target could be this zone over here. Okay, and then we'd be filling this fair value gap over here. Remember, there's a huge inefficiency candle over here on the weekly time frame, and this can easily be filled, guys. You can understand that, and that would be your target. Okay, and that would be most likely when we're selling our crypto into USDT, not just Bitcoin, even though this is the Bitcoin dominance chart that we are looking at, guys. So, going back to the daily time frame, these are our targets, guys. These are our huge targets for this year. Of course, Bitcoin dominance. USDT dominance is playing ball. So we're gonna have a look. We're gonna zoom in quickly. So it did actually fill the fair value gap that we've been looking for a while now. It didn't come deep. It partially filled it over here. It didn't come as deep. I was expecting a push into this EMA over here. But guys, the death cross is here. Okay, what is the death cross? Well, the death cross is when the 200-day EMA crosses below when the 50-day EMA crosses below the 200-day EMA and you get a death cross. This basically confirms the bearish momentum, okay? So it works very well for swing trading. When you're in a range, the death cross doesn't really work too well. But just remember that when this happens, we are expecting bearish continuation for USDT dominance, which means bullish continuation for the crypto market. So this is going to cross probably this week. So keep your eyes out on this level. And, if we just go into the 4-hour, I've been waiting for a breakdown of this zone over here, which, yeah, here we go. It looks like we are getting that breakout. So, obviously nice wick on the 4-hour time frame. We can mark that off. And we could get a 50% wick test over there. But what we want to see is for this wick to be taken out with some volume, and then we can expect it to fall in the lower term time frames are going to be breaking down, leading into those higher time frames like the daily chart. Okay, but we have taken out this low today. Remember, there's nothing bullish about taking out the low, and especially with no bullish divergence at play yet, guys. So death cross, losing daily levels. We're just creating lower lows here from the past 3 days, and nothing really bullish about USDT dominance. If we do get a pullback in the crypto market, guys, this is my all-in zone. I've been speaking about this all-in zone for a while. It would be the perfect retest if we do come into the zone over here. We've got the 50% level, huge fair value gap, and the EMAs over there. So that's a massive confluence zone. So, do we get a little fake out now for crypto, pullback for the USDT dominance? Let's see, guys. Let's see. I've got an altcoin request for Casper. So Casper's looking really good. Of course, these old tops becoming new bottoms, and you can actually extend this all the way over here. Massive zone over here. 11 cents is a huge zone for Casper. Okay, so if we can get start to really get a push here, I think it has reclaimed the important levels. This was a very important top to get above, which we did break out. We confirmed the bullish market structure. We confirmed the bullish market structure and got a retest over here. And we are now, starting to build a base above the 200-day EMA. So this is a really good sign for Casper. Personally, got a lot of spot Casper from, much earlier on the cycle. I think accumulated a little bit here, a little bit here. So probably around, break even, if not a little bit up. But I do see, this is clear bullish market structure. And what you expect to happen is just for the market structure to continue. Just like that, guys. If we do start to close below the 250-day EMAs, then we can say, okay, maybe we were wrong. Okay, but for now, holding up well over there, strong support trend line governing the trend to the upside. So Casper looking good. If you do want to get into a Casper long, you can be longing this area over here with your stop below there, and obviously targeting that range high of about 18 to 19 cents, giving us a risk reward of 3.45 to 1. Okay, good trade over there. Good trade over there, in my opinion. Okay, what else do we have? We've got a little bit of Ondo. Ondo just going sideways, guys. But bullish market structure, you can see the bullish market structure over here. Higher highs, higher lows. So you just expect higher highs and higher lows throughout. Expect big resistance at $1.40. $1.40 being the 50% level from the all-time highs to the recent correction low with bullish divergence over there. $1.50 might be, stopping the show. Okay, there's also SUI. Okay, you guys are speaking about, you guys are getting, whoa, look at that daily candle. Is that true? Yeah, I'm not sure if this is on all the exchanges, but looks like that's got a little bit of a hit to the downside, and it came perfectly into the long box over here. We're speaking about the long box over here, stop below these lows over here. So if you somehow got into this trade, congratulations. I personally did not get into the trade, but it happened too fast. I wasn't even aware of it. And just know, guys, that, when you do get wicks like this, you do often come full the 50% level. So if SUI does come to that $3.52 region, this could be a good long opportunity. But I do think SUI is one of the stronger tokens out there. I'm actually very bullish on SUI and the ecosystem. And guys, our SUI P trade is actually starting to, lift off. We spoke about SUI P in this region over here, saying that, it follows this obvious chart pattern over here where, it's trading at these high levels, it gets dumped to the floor, it accumulates for a little bit of time, and then makes kind of a beeline to the top of the range. Okay, so it happened once, it's happened twice. So there's a good chance that it might happen a third time. And remember, guys, it is an explosive move. It is very explosive, very quick, very quick. So, this might play out. Obviously, don't risk more than you can afford to lose, because this can come down and just accumulate forever. But this is one of the charts that I am actually quite bullish on, guys. I am quite bullish on this chart, of course. And let's have a look at CETUS. So CETUS, which is a DEX on SUI, is actually just got the bull cross, okay? Right over there, bull cross on CETUS. So expecting higher levels for CETUS, of course. We can look at the 50% level over there. Got these highs in over here. And, we can easily see a move. You see how this is a massive zone here as well. So we could easily see a move on CETUS up to this level over here. And if you are looking for another long, you can long CETUS at this current zone over here. Stop below the bull cross, and we can take a TP1 over there, but ultimately targeting much higher levels for something like CETUS, guys. So it's had its first wave over here, nice first wave, second wave over here, and then we are expecting a third wave. Let's wait and see though, guys. Let's wait and see. But this looks like a good trade in my opinion. Yeah, that's CETUS. That's the SUI ecosystem. Very bullish on the SUI ecosystem, guys. Very, very bullish. Something with Chill Guy. Chill Guy looks like it's forming a nice little cup. So that's a bit of a spaz one, guys. Oh, Forming a little bit of a cup here, a little bit of a handle. Who knows where this is going? I do have a little bit of chill guy. I think I bought the hype around here, so we're still a bit down on that. But you just got to give it time. It's how it works, guys. It's how it works in the crypto market. Okay, anything else that we should have a look at? Just sitting in my longs at the moment. I did take this trade. This was the trade that I took on Monday. Little head and shoulders for Chainlink. This hasn't taken off yet, but it got a nice little bounce out there. So let's wait and see what happens over there, guys. Let's wait and see. Okay, so look at REQ. Haven't seen REQ yet, but it looks quite old. Yeah, request. Never heard of request. Let's take some time to have a look at request here. So obviously, massive level over here. You can see sellers and buyers. And we are like at a daily resistance as well. So not sure if I would get super bullish on this, but if we can start to see a push up and start to close multiple daily candles above this level over here, I would say 19 cents. If request can get above 19 cents, then I think there is a push to the upside, which might happen, guys. Have a look at Mudeng. Also a decent little push. I remember we did speak about the 50% level, and it looks like we did actually come, I haven't been keeping an eye on meme coins, but it looks like we came perfectly into that level over here. So remember, guys, that when you do get a push up, you can easily come to the 382 or the 50% level, and it looks like we got, we got big bounce off the 50% level. We got a decent bounce off the 382 now. So this is looking like it could have a nice move to the upside. Obviously, massive level over here, big resistance you can see over there. Let's wait and see, guys. Double top, nice accumulation zone. Who knows how high this is going to go? Okay, so we just spoke about the link now, guys. So look at Brett. I am bullish on Brett. Yeah, this is my trading idea for Brett. Nice bullish market structure. Let's see what happens. I am bullish. I'm long and strong on Brett. So look at curve. Yeah, also looking really good, guys. This is just grinding to the upside. I think curve's looking decent. Yeah, well, if curve can get above the 50% level of the high that we saw in December, all the way down to the low we saw in, I like how curve made a higher low in April, guys. Everything else made a lower low. Curve made a higher low. So this is a good sign. But what you'd want to see is for some price action above that 84, 85 cent region. That would be, best case scenario for curve. I would be waiting until that. Okay, we're going to have a look at WIF as well, because I think WIF is starting to move. There we go. So I want to see WIF above the 200-day EMA, guys. I was looking for this long on WIF. We didn't quite come to that level. This was the high probability zone. But I would be waiting for WIF to consolidate above the 200-day EMA and even above this massive horizontal zone. And obviously that horizontal zone is coming in at that $1.30 region over there. So if we can get above here, it will be looking good. And I do definitely see a push up to $2.57 sooner than later. Of course, sooner than later, guys. What else? Special mentions. I think Render's looking good, guys. Starting to really build a base on this 50-day EMA here. So you could be taking longs from here. I've got enough spots Render to take. I don't want to take any more trades on that. ENA, we also took we spoke about the ENA long on Monday off this 50 EMA over here. I think we've got the little bounce over there. So looking pretty good. this was worst case scenario. If we did see lower levels all the way down there, we're going to take that trade. It's happening with TRX. I'm still in this TRX long as well, guys. So yeah, expecting this to just float to the upside, guys. But shop for joining the stream, guys. We'll see you later this week, and cheers.